Like the regular season, the Pistons knew that the playoffs would be a grueling battle of attrition. A legion of hungry challengers awaited them.
He made it very difficult for us because he knew more about our personnel.
There's usually one guy that gets it. Bill Lambier would get every rebound in that area.
You can know our team, you can know what each individual does, but as long as that individual or your team executes to perfection, you can't stop it.
All right, and I don't care, I got faith in you, man, so just come on and do it now. Let's go. Let's go. Come on, let's go.
But despite the Pacers' grand scheme,
no easy field goals. Make it tough. Make it tough. No easy field goals.
the Pistons would simply overwhelm them, blowing them out in games 1 and 2. Although the scenery changed for Game 3, the results did not, as Isaiah Thomas controlled the tempo, and the Pistons controlled the scoreboard, completing their series sweep in Indiana.
We believe in percentages and fundamentals, and if we go out, like I said, we do A, B, C, and D, we're going to win, period.
Round 2 posed an obstacle of immense proportions in New York's Patrick Ewing.
Patrick is a very great local center, and I want to go in there and do whatever I can. So if I'm putting pressure on him at the offensive end, he'll wear out during the course of the game.
Fearlessly, Edwards took the game to the Knicks center.
Do the same thing. Go to Joe's side though. Dribble Joe down.
With Ewing otherwise occupied, New York's defensive interior was exposed as the Pistons destroyed the disoriented Knicks by 35 points in Game 1. The strategy in Game 2 was identical, as Detroit continued to go right at Ewing. And with Edwards amassing a career playoff-high 32 points, Detroit had another victory. But as the series moved to New York, the city's most imposing skyscraper would cast his shadow on the Pistons, scoring 45 points on his home court.
Stand around one. Get a stop, get a stop.
With Ewing controlling both ends of the court, the Knicks pulled out a Game 3 victory and thought they were on the way back into the series. Detroit knew otherwise.
We thought we can win it 4-0, but New York had a little fight in him, and all we had to do was just make the kill.
Turning up their defensive intensity in Game 4, Detroit surrounded Ewing and contained him.
3 seconds!
Decisively winning Game 4, Detroit effortlessly shifted into high gear. And back in Detroit, handily closed out the series in 5 games. Once again, the Pistons had demonstrated the ability to adapt to each new challenge and to conquer it. The Knicks series had become a celebration of Piston intensity. And appropriately, it would also provide the forum for honoring the player who most embodies this spirit, Master Lock Defensive Player of the Year, Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman's big thing is, I don't need any help. Let me just handle them by myself. And that's the pride he has in defense.
For Rodman, his dedication had been well worth it.
I'd like to thank
Set yourself out to accomplish a goal, and all of a sudden you achieve it, no matter what it is, I promised myself I wouldn't break down if I wanted to avoid, but it hit me, and it was a great feeling for me.
I wanted this one so bad.
But awaiting Rodman and his teammates in the conference finals was the ultimate challenge to their defensive mastery. For containing Michael Jordan would require a special approach.
The Jordan rule, Michael Jordan this, Michael Jordan that. I don't hate the guy, and I'm like, I just got sick and tired of hearing that guy.
Rule number 1, bring reinforcements.
We're going to use the Jordan rules, also the Michigan National Guard, and
Rule number 2, nothing is sacred.
Talk about different things that he doesn't like to talk about, like baldness. Sorry.
I got number 3.
Rule number 3, give nothing away.
The Jordan rules. Is that something you guys made up?
Jordan rule? No, I don't know what that is.
None of your business.
But as the series' first confrontation approached, one Jordan rule would move to the forefront. Get him! The battle cry had been sounded, and no prisoners would be taken. As the airways were clogged with Pistons, who hounded Jordan's every move and punished Chicago on both ends of the floor. Everything was falling for the Pistons, including Jordan, as Detroit steamrolled Chicago in games 1 and 2. But everyone knew that Jordan, though hobbled, would have to be reckoned with on his home turf.
now he's got 3-4 days to get ready. So we're going to be looking at basically a healthy Jordan come Saturday.
Invoking his own set of rules in Chicago, a rejuvenated Jordan shredded the Pistons for 89 points in games 3 and 4, single-handedly tying the series at 2.
Great game by Michael. Jordan again. Jordan rules tonight instead of the rules are against Jordan.
The Bulls strode confidently into Auburn Hills for Game 5, looking to steal the crucial home court advantage.
Work all season for this guy. Let's play hard. Leave it all on the floor. Let's go.
But Detroit had a plan of their own, and they wasted little time in implementing it. As both teams executed flawlessly in the first half.
Easy shot, 4 points, we're up 4.
Although the Bulls were off and running in the third quarter, the game would belong to the Pistons as their defense smothered Chicago and their offense wore them down, bringing them one victory away from a finals berth. Facing elimination, Jordan and his Bulls would once again break loose back in Chicago. But as Detroit looked towards the decisive 7th game, they found solace in knowing that it would be played in their domain.
That's why we mentally and physically tortured ourselves for 82 games. We wanted to be in our own building.
Fittingly, their season would now hinge on their shared philosophy of team defense.
I think we're very fortunate that we have guys in the team that don't consider defense a chore, but like to play defense.
Defense is an interesting phrase. I think guys, once you sell them on it, it's a macho way to go. But it doesn't entail me playing you necessarily. It's our 5 playing you.
To know that you can count on guys behind you when you get beat. It sends you out there with a lot of confidence on defense to play guys really tough because you always know you got the help.
We're not selfish. You can't be selfish as a defensive player, and you have to have more discipline as a defensive player than you do as an offensive player.
Pitting their collective strength against Chicago's Superman, Detroit stood firm in their beliefs.
The club was very confident, and I drew from them a certain amount of confidence. And you get to a point where you say, hey, it's down to a 1-game series. Let's best team win.
The winner of this game plays Portland for the NBA title.
Let's go. Let's go. Gotta get up and show. Hey, you're not gonna win it offensively. I gotta have the defense.
Michael, you're not doing it today. You ain't gonna do it today.
You shut people down, you get fast breaks.
With Sally anchoring their defense, the Pistons corralled the Bulls and then ran past them.
And if you can control the tempo, and if you can control the style, then your team's gonna win.
As they dominated at both ends of the floor, it was clear that the Pistons were playing their brand of basketball.
Get a stop, White!
The Bulls' attempt at storming the Palace would be smashed. And the rout was on, as Detroit convincingly showed their supremacy, earning their third consecutive conference championship and making a bold statement as they moved on to the finals.
The Pistons return to the NBA Finals for the third straight time.